Hi, as you know, I grew up in the southern part of the United States, right here in North Carolina actually, and pecan pie was an important part of our family's holidays. We would get together at my grandmother's house at Thanksgiving, and after our huge meal, we'd go outside. She had these wonderful pecan trees. They were enormous, and there were always pecans there, and we'd pick up pecans. The cousins would play football, and I loved that time picking up the pecans with the adults, and they would gossip and talk and share family stories. And then my mother we'd crack the pecans, and she would make a pecan pie. And what I loved about a pecan pie is that she put a lot of pecans in it. It wasn't that gooey, syrupy part that I liked, but it was the pecans. Well, since I went low carb, I haven't made a pecan pie because replicating the gooey, syrupy part, which is good, just wasn't possible with low carb. Now, there are some great low carb recipes out there, but again, it just wasn't the same, so I hadn't tried it. Well, when I found out that Sukrin had a gold fiber syrup, I knew the first thing I wanted to try to make with it was a pecan pie. So this was what I was so excited about. I'm going to use this in the recipe. There are several great recipes that you can make pecan pie with if you don't have this, but if you want to do this recipe, you're going to need this fiber syrup from Sukrin Gold. Use the coupon code FRIENDS to get a 10% discount at Sukrin USA. Don't get any compensation for that. This is not a paid endorsement. I simply really like their products, and it's perfect for a traditional pecan pie. All right, let's get started. Okay, for the crust, I'm using 1 cup of almond flour, and I'm using 1/3 of a cup of oat fiber. So it's a full cup of almond flour and 1/3 cup of oat fiber. You can use coconut flour if you don't have the oat fiber. To that, I'm going to add 1 egg, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of melted butter. This is not going to be, a crust that you roll out. I'm going to press it in. My mother would always use the Ritz pie shell. My mother did not enjoy cooking. She liked pecan pie, or she likes it, but she didn't enjoy cooking. I'm doing this in my food processor, quite honestly, because it's just the easiest way to do it. And let's give that a stir. This is going to be like a nice pastry crust. It won't be the same because it isn't the same, but it is, you can see it has a nice texture. I'm going to give it another little whirl in there. And the food processor is loud, I know, but this is just the easiest way to do this. All right. And this is just a pie plate that I have. I wanted something that was not too deep because the wider it is, the more pieces I can get of it. And I want to make sure I do portion control. Pecans are fairly low in carb, better than almonds, cup for cup. But nonetheless, I still wanted to, I'm still going to have to make sure I get 16 servings out of this and watch my portion size. Even though it's the holidays, it's not an excuse to go crazy. This is a dessert. It is a treat. Now, I'm going to just press it out. And let me show you what this looks like. We're not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to give you an idea of what it looks like. I'm not even testing it for sweetness. I'm trying to think, did I even add sugar? And I did. Didn't I?
Sukrin Gold.
I did not add sweetener to this. So you may want to, how embarrassing, you may want to add a couple of tablespoons, or I can use my liquid sweetener. In fact, that's what I'll do. I'll add my liquid sucralose to it. Let me try a small bite. Yeah, I didn't add sweetener. And you may not need it, but I will add sweetener to that. Let me set that aside, and we'll press it out, and I'll make the filling. So one of my helpers is going to press that out. You add. Okay. Let me not forget to add sweetener. What you're going to want to do is about 3 tablespoons of granulated sweetener, or maybe 6 to 8 drops of the liquid sweetener. Fortunately, the liquid sweetener will mix really well in there. It had a really nice floury taste, though, I will tell you, when I tasted it. Okay, here comes the magic. I'm going to use a full cup of my Sukrin Fiber Gold. It hurt my feelings to use a full cup of this because I thought, gosh, if this isn't good, I've wasted a full cup of this yummy stuff. It is not inexpensive. It's about $8 a bottle with the discount coupon. It's about $8 a bottle, so this is not cheap to make, and so I thought, gosh, if I screw this up, I'm going to be really angry with myself. Now the oven is preheating to 325, and if you've ever made a traditional pecan pie, oftentimes you use carrot syrup or corn syrup, and that's basically what we're doing, is substituting. So you could use your family's favorite recipe. Hang on, I'm going to add eggs to this. So I've got 1 cup of the syrup, 3 eggs, and you could use a hand mixer for this if you wanted to. I'm just going to mix it by hand. I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of the Sukrin brown sugar. You can use any granulated sweetener. You don't have to use brown sugar. I'm using it simply because I have it. I'm adding a full teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to add melted butter. This is 5 tablespoons of melted butter. Okay. And you could do this, I thought about this, you could do it as a cheesecake to try and cut the carbs. It would be really yummy, I think, if you did a cheesecake base and then put the pecan pie topping on it. But I've done a lot of cheesecake combinations lately, and so I wanted this to be just a pie all by itself. And this just smells so amazing. Now you can add cinnamon if you want. Some people add cinnamon. I'm adding a 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So that's 1.5 teaspoons. It might actually be 2 because, you know, I love vanilla extract. And all this sugar, it smells amazing. Now some people have the tradition of adding some bourbon or some rum, or even better, some chocolate chips. And so if you wanted a chocolate chip pecan pie, you could certainly add sugar-free chocolate chips. With all the sweetener in terms of the syrup and the brown sugar, there's already a lot of sweetener in there, so I didn't want to add the chocolate chips. Okay, this is 3 cups of pecans. You don't have to use 3 cups, and I'm going to put a little at a time. Remember, I told you my favorite part was the pecan part and not the ooey gooey part. All right, here we go. 3 cups. We're really fortunate in that my husband's family has pecan trees, and so we're able to get pecans from them. The only problem with their pecans is that they call them pecans, and some folks in the South say pecans. My family always said pecan because we're from the western part of the state. My husband's family is from the eastern part of the state, so I keep trying to be a good influence on him and teach him how to say it. But every now and then he'll try to tell me it's pecan. All right, this looks amazing, and I'm going to give it a try. I really hope we're getting this recipe right. We got it right. All right, let me grab the crust. I can't wait to try to get this baked. All right, the crust is kind of thin because this was a really big pie plate. So yours probably won't be this big, but here's the crust. And you could actually, if you made it ahead of time, put it in the freezer. This is going to be thin, but it'll be fine. Okay, let's pour this in. Wow. And yes, it tastes as good as it looks. I cannot wait. I'm going to have to order more Sukrin Gold. I can't wait to share this with my family for Thanksgiving. My mother was one of 6 children, is one of 6 children, and 3 of the 6 are diabetic. And so pecan pie is not something, traditional pecan pie is not something that they should be eating, but this is something that they could each have a slice of. And I can't wait to share it with them. Okay, I'm so excited about this pie. All right, I'm gonna put this in the oven at 325. It's going to go about, I'm going to start shaking it at 35 minutes. It's going to go about 45 minutes. And then we'll take a pic and see what we have. Hi, our pecan pie is ready. It's out of the oven. I'm so excited to try this. Decided I'd bring it into the living room, or excuse me, into the dining room. The crust looks like it's kind of pulled away from the pan, so I'm not worried about it sticking. It smells amazing. It's been cooling while I've been taking pictures, so I'm going to cut into it. I'm so excited. And my daughter is out of town, and my husband says he's busy videoing. He won't try this with me, so it's just me and the dogs. I have a few helpers sniffing around. I'm going to try and pay attention to portion size, but to be honest, oh wow, I want to get a few photographs of this too. Okay, let me see if I can get this piece out. I don't think it's going to be pretty. It's not going to hold together well. Oh, I'm so disappointed in that. But the first piece often isn't pretty. So let's see. I'm going to kind of dig this out a bit. I'm going to take a fork because it's smaller and see if I can get, I think the crust was too thin. It just kind of disappeared on us. So yeah, not going to make a picture, a pretty picture. Kind of thing. The crust did just kind of disappear. It needed to be thicker for this pie plate. Let me, I don't know if you can see, but yeah, the crust was too thin. Well, we'll just have to try again. Let's see how it tastes. Actually, I have some whipped cream. It doesn't look pretty, but we're going to put some whipping cream on it. We have one of those dispensers at canisters that make really great whipped cream. Let's give it a try. If I didn't know any better, I would swear this is my grandmother's pecan pie. It doesn't look good. There's a little bit of crust under here. See our crust? There's a little crust here. And let's try a bite with the crust. Holy cow. It looks awful, but it tastes really good. Gotta work on getting the crust thicker. I can't even get this on my fork. Okay, I'm so excited. Let's try it with the crust. It is full of pecans. It is sweet. It is gooey. I'm gonna make my husband try a bite, even if you can't see him.
Wow.
It's incredible. It is really, really tasty. I wish I could give you guys a bite. It's got that really thick, wonderful gooiness, the crispiness of the pecans, the crust. I don't know what I did wrong with that. I think it needs to be thicker. This is incredible. One more bite. I'll hand it off because somebody else wants to finish it off. I am going to try to cut one more piece of this. See if I can salvage any crust. It is crisp on the top, but the crust is just not holding together. Maybe I didn't let it cool enough. You can see a little crust there. I might have not given it enough time to cool, but I honestly think the crust was just too thin. And you guys saw how thin I had it, so I need to take a spoon and just scoop this out so I can get some pictures. But the taste is incredible. So we got to work on the crust, but the filling, I think we scored. I can't wait until tomorrow. And probably what I'll do tomorrow is try to cut a cleaner piece and see what it does when it's cooled completely. It is still warm, but that's one of the best pecan pies I've ever had. Amazing, the dish just returned completely empty. It's one of the best pecan pies I've ever had, low carb or not. So I hope that I can tweak the crust. So look in the video description for the crust. I'm going to add more to it, especially for a pan this size. So look for that tweak in the recipe, and I think we have a hit.